Can you talk about how a small business person can share their beliefs and make sure that they're doing that well? Because a lot of times you think your staff and employees actually get it right, and it's not till you run into these challenges that you realize they don't really get it. I did something wrong. Can you talk about how to get there?
Yeah, so it's really defining what your personal shared core values are and making sure they're aligned with your business core values. They have to be.
Yeah.
You can't claim at work I'm going to be honest and truthful. However, when I go home, I'm not that same person. I'm going to cheat on my wife, my family. I'm going to cheat on my taxes. I'm going to cheat here and here. But when I go to work, I expect everybody to be honest. You can't have that. I tell businesses right now, if you're that type of person, well, just take that core value out. Let's look at other shared beliefs and shared core values. So you really have to dive in. Your business core values have to align in with your personal core values, and you have to really how to identify those core values and how they apply to your business.
And how do you translate that with the employees? What's your secret? What are some of the things you have to look at?
I love it. So when we go through interviews and we go through employees, we go through the definition of the word culture, shared beliefs. We go through we outline the word cult inside the word culture. And you've seen this, Cherie, many times with me, people, the body language when you do that. And it's just simply the root word of culture. And we're trying to create a constructive cult of people with constructive and positive core values. We go through what those core values are, and we define it. And then we go through the culture quadrants of a very communal organization. And when you're with an employee, there's employees that look at it and say, "Hey, this isn't for me." And
I'm sorry, this isn't for me. I really want to cheat on my wife. I have to move on.
Yeah, and it's okay because I'll simply say, "That's okay. Go have a good time, but this isn't the place for you."
Yeah, exactly. John, I want you to touch upon, you've mentioned, baseball player and the fact that you have the Business Showcase Baseball Academy, and something that really stood out to me is through the lessons learned through the roller coaster ride of Ameritrust, the businesses that you've been involved with since then, you're literally building them from the get-go with a corporate culture as the center and foundation of its advantage. And what stood out to me about Showcase Baseball Academy is how it's different than other academies across the country. So talk about that and how culture fits into that. And tell us a little bit about what Showcase Baseball Academy is so Joe and all the listeners understand what exactly it is.
Okay, excellent. So it's a true college preparatory academy. So what we do is we have about 500 members throughout the Carolinas that we train, we tutor, we prepare them for college, and then we also assist in the college recruiting. So we have teams that travel all over the country and showcase themselves in front of various different colleges. And I think we're the largest in the Carolinas, and we graduate more student athletes with college baseball scholarships than I believe anybody in the country.
Well, I remember it's so impressive. I remember going to one of your graduations, and every single graduate had a scholarship for baseball. Yeah, that was impressive. Yeah.
It's so that's such a fulfilling part of this. But what's strange is how it started. Is I was so disciplined with Ameritrust and the culture and the business. And I just started with one team years ago with my oldest son, and just by habit, we started putting a good culture together on the team. Mm-hmm. And then I would have other coaches come up to me and say, "Hey, I want to be a part of your organization." I'd look at them and say, I don't have an organization. I just got a team. I'm just a dad coaching who has a little bit of knowledge of this sport. And I'm like, no, we want to be a part of whatever whatever is coming out of you guys, you could just see the energy. It was just the shared beliefs. Want to be a part of that. Mm-hmm. So it simply just grew and morphed, and then I put an indoor facility in place and a training center in Matthews, and it's now 25,000 square feet, and it's growing like crazy. And it just came about by when you really understand your personal and corporate and your business core values. It's amazing how the lens you look out of becomes so clear to identify people who share those same values and vice versa, and people want to be a part of that. It's a positive, constructive drug that they want to be a part of.
You know, John, this reminds me, I've got a good friend of mine who's a very good high school coach, and I've been coaching football, Pop Warner, for years, and he was kicking my butt for years. And one time we were at lunch, I said, man, talk to me about this. What's the difference? Where does it start? And he said, oh, simple, Joe. It starts with me sitting down with the group in my backyard, and I give them all a card, and I ask them to write down their 3 goals. And I said, what's that got to do with football, man? And he said, it's got a lot to do with football. And so he was connecting with these kids way before they ever got out on a football field.
Well, Joe, that's a really good point, because one of the things that I think the Academy does, the whole leadership development, way beyond baseball. Talk to us about that, because you're building, the character building you're doing, I think, is pretty impressive.
Yeah, so part of our core values on the baseball side, we use the acronym PITCH, and it's player fulfillment. And because our goal is from our teachers, our instructors, our coaches, is we got to know that we are there to fulfill our players' dreams, to play college baseball. That's what they're there for. Mm-hmm. The next of the in the acronym PITCH is integrity. So we want to be complete in everything we do. We want to teach, not tell, and we want to compete. And then the H is obviously have fun. This is still a game. So if we really, and then we define what each of those the letters of PITCH stand for, and one is compete, and we make no bones about it. I mean, this organization, we don't throw them out there. We're not all about winning for the kids because we want to develop, but we make it real clear that we're sure the heck not all about losing either. And